Chapter 8 1,000-Year-Old Trees. Petrel looked up to check that everyone was still listening. They were, so she continued reading. Suddenly there was a great burst of sunshine at the end of the tunnel, and they emerged into the Huon Pine Reserve. "I love this place," said Solo, throwing himself onto the soft moss underneath the enormous trees. Jackson Toll did the same, and they lay looking up at the sun through the flowing tresses of the Huon pines above them. "So glad that some trees can live for more than a millennium," said Jax. "It's like they've travelled through time and just arrived," said Toll. "We're all travelling through time," said Solo, "right at this very moment." Jax rolled over onto her stomach and looked at Solo. "Only half an hour ago," she said, "we were with the tunnel kids, and half an hour before that I was at your place, and an hour before that I was in the land of ice and fire." Solo nodded. He still hadn't told anyone about the night Jax and Escher's lighthouse had appeared in his lounge room. Somehow he wasn't sure how to. He grinned at Jax. "We're already time travellers," he said. "In 10 years' time we'll be somewhere else again, and tonight we will have journeyed through time and space to get back to Elvin Avenue." "Hope to get something to eat," said Toll. "I'm starving." "I know," said Solo. "I didn't want to eat any of the food we gave to the tunnel kids." "Same," said Toll. "What a bunch of whiners," said Jax, producing travel bars from her backpack. "Yum," said Toll, grabbing 2 from Jax's hands. As the children were relaxing under the 1,000-or-more-year-old trees, a sparkling insect started to dance in midair right in front of them. Solo brushed it away as it buzzed around his face, but it was persistent. After some more attempts at swatting the tiny thing, it landed right on top of Solo's nose and stung him quite hard. Solo stood up, warning Toll and Jax to watch out because something had stung him. I think that needs to say to watch out because something had just stung him. The little creature with glistening wings whooshed onto the pocket of Solo's magic jacket, making a humming noise as it tried to undo the zipper of Solo's jacket. Toll bashed his brother's pocket, causing the creature to fall to the ground, but after a few seconds it buzzed up really high and then dive-bombed the children's heads. "Oh, man," exclaimed Solo. "Let's get out of here." But before they could, the insect had latched onto Solo's earlobe and wouldn't let go. They could all hear the smallest of voices yelling, "Sit down, sit down, sit down." "I think it wants us to sit down," said Toll, hitting the ground. "That's better," shrieked the insect, which was about the size of a bee. "Now listen, all of you. My name is Halo. I'm a feral angel, and I've been sent to let you know that you'll soon be swept up into some adventures. That's all I have to say, but next time I come, don't try and hit me, or I'll expand myself to my full size and beat you up. Is that understood?" "Absolutely," said Toll, feeling sorry for the little thing. But Solo was still smarting from where his nose and earlobe had been attacked. "Now listen here," Solo began angrily, but when the wild little angel insect, flew up and hovered near his nose again, he stopped talking. Jax smiled at the feral angel. "I'm sorry that we hit you," she said, "but you were being a bit aggressive too." "I am aggressive," said Halo. "All feral angels are aggressive. What were you expecting? A fairy?" "We weren't expecting anything," said Toll politely, "and if you'll forgive me, I've actually heard that fairies can be quite aggressive too." "Not as aggressive as angels," said Halo, "especially feral angels." "What are feral angels?" asked Solo. "Angels who are fed up with the stereotypes that angels are all sugar and spice and everything nice," said Halo. "Oh," said Jax, "I didn't realise it was offensive to think that." "Well, it is," said Halo firmly. "Feral angels also travel through time, mostly as magic time pirates. We're far more brave than ordinary time pirates and time wizards, who take far too long to do anything." Jax frowned. "That's not what I've heard," she said. "Well, you heard wrong," said Halo. "Anyway, you're very lucky that Magal wasn't sent to talk to you." Very lucky. He has few qualms about becoming aggressive at any moment. Who's Miguel? Asked Solo, who was warming to the little creature. Petrol looked up as everyone cheered loudly and shouted out, Miguel and Hero! Miguel stood up. I'm not sure we should trust everything quoted as being said by Halo, he said. He's a good mate, but his grasp on the truth is a bit slim, shall we say. Jax jumped up. He's the best, though, she said loudly, and he's great to have around when there's a crisis. Definitely, shouted Miguel. Cheers to Halo! Everyone applauded and cheered loudly. May I continue? Asked Petrol after the cheering died down. I think we should say after the cheering had died down. Yes, shouted everyone. Petrol continued reading. Miguel. You haven't heard of Miguel? Scoffed Halo. He's only friends with the most famous angel of all, Gabriel. They're both huge, although Miguel is half a giant, so he's massive. Solo nodded. You'll know Miguel if he comes, and he will, only no one really knows when. Most people mistake him for a hurricane, or a tornado, or an earthquake, but it's usually just Miguel making a muck of something he's been asked to do. Definitely don't ever get on the wrong side of him. Jax, Toll, and Solo looked a bit afraid. Don't worry, I'll tell him to look out for you. You're Anatole's grandsons, aren't you? Asked Halo. Anatole Dew. He was related to Elsie Dew, who made the Indigo Sea. Solo and Toll nodded. Good, said Toll. Miguel has a special place in his very large heart. Oh, sorry, that's meant to say good, said Halo. I'll just repeat that bit. Good, said Halo. Miguel has a very special place in his very large heart for anyone related to Elsie Dew. Both brothers were shocked that the creature knew of Elsie Dew and their grandfather, but before they could talk, Halo was off again. Now, down to business, he said. When these adventures begin, you're not to think that you've gone mad, nor are you to think that the world's gone crazy. Just go with the flow, and I'll be back to tell you some more soon. Solo nodded, but he wasn't sure if he believed Halo. How do you know all of this? Asked Solo. I can see the future and the past and the present and every possible universe with my eyes, which are a bit like the compound eyes of a bee. You know, thousands and thousands of tiny lenses. I know everything about everything, almost. Well, I know a hell of a lot more than you do. So trust me, you're about to have some adventures. When the adventures start, you'll remember what I've said. Be brave, do good, see ya, gotta fly. All that was left behind was a small cloud of silver steam. Halo had gone. Whoa, said Toll. What was that about? I have no idea, said Solo, but my nose is really stinging. We'd better go home, said Toll. Definitely, said Solo. Good idea, said Jax. But before they left, the children scanned the trees to see if they could see any sign of Halo. Halo, Toll called softly, but there wasn't any reply. Let's go, whispered Solo. They all took off, hoping not to meet Halo again in a hurry.